Jan, you're an awesome lady. You've been praying for our visit to Darwin, and you have your own really evangelism outreach to the Aboriginal community. You've got a real passion for seeing them just come to Christ and just healing brokenness in their lives and communities. And you brought carloads of Aboriginal ladies to the meetings this weekend, and you say each one you brought came away with healing. Can you list some of those things?
Well, I'll start with Martina, who came this morning. She had shocking pain in her sinuses. No medication was able to help her with that for about, I can't remember how long, about 4 or 5 years. It has been really bad anyway, chronic. And she went up to John for prayer, and when she came back and sat down, she was just so happy. She felt very light, and she said she can breathe normally through her nose for the first time for years and years, and all pain had completely gone. And she kept laughing and telling me about it all the way home, that the pain had all gone from the sinuses. And her daughter Carmel had quite a few problems. Carmel had shocking pains in her feet. She had difficulty walking, and also had very bad bladder. And also she had substance abuse, like she's addicted to drugs and alcohol and cigarettes, which has caused a lot of problems in her life. And I noticed that, I didn't know Carmel before we came, but I noticed she got up about every 15 minutes. She had to get up and go to the toilet very painfully because her bladder is constantly hurting. And I said, you must go up to John for prayer. So she went up, and she told John in front of everybody that she had a problem with her bladder, and he prayed for that, and he prayed for her feet, and immediately she said the pain's gone from her bladder and from her feet. She came back, and towards the end of the meeting, about 2 hours later, she said, I don't even feel like going to the toilet anymore. The bladder, this doesn't hurt. Before I used to go to the toilet and I'd come back and I still felt like I needed to go. The bladder was always feeling that pressure on it, but it had completely gone. She didn't go to the toilet for 2 hours or so.
And she said she'd had that problem for about 7 years or so.
Yes.
That's amazing, yeah.
And the feet, the pain completely went from her feet as well. No more pain there. But she said it wasn't until those two things happened that she sat outside, and then she said, I need prayer for my addictions too. I said, well, go back and ask John. She said, but I've already been. I said, you can go twice. So she came back in and waited, and John prayed with her. And all the way home, she said, I don't even feel like I want a cigarette now. She used to smoke marijuana a lot, and she said, I'm never going to touch it again, and I want to go to church tonight. I want to really change my life,
Wow.
which is a big relief to her mum, Martina. And she had a little boy, Marquel, who had
HD, yeah,
Yes.
attention deficit.
Yeah, so he's on a lot of medication for that at school. His grandma looks after him more than his mum because she had these addiction problems. But John prayed with him. He always has headaches, and he said the headaches are gone, and he felt really good, the little boy. I'm sure that he's received healing as well. And they brought with them a young boy, nephew, who also had an addiction to alcohol. And John prayed with him, and he said he was very happy. He said he felt very light afterwards. He's going to change his life and go back to church, and felt like he didn't want to drink anymore. He said, I really don't feel like... He was asking me a lot of questions about Jesus on the way home, because he's been away from the church for quite some time. And there was an old lady in a wheelchair who's got terminal cancer and big, bad sort of like on the knees. I can't remember what she's got, but they were very, very, very sore. And John prayed over her knees and over her bowel. She's got bowel cancer, I think. And she said the pain had gone. She was very stooped over in her wheelchair when she came, but she was happy and smiling and sitting up when we went to leave, and she said she felt so much better. And the lady that was with her daughter also received prayer. I can't even remember what it was for now.
Was it the eyes?
Yeah, I think it was
She
the
had
eyes.
cataracts, and she'd had 5 laser operations, and the laser actually caused damage in the process, and she had bloodshot eyes, and there was like a film or a fogginess.
Yeah.
But she said that cleared, and also her eye became whiter, the bloodshot
That's it. Yeah.
red went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the night before that, there was Alicia who came from, she comes from Arnhem Land, and none of her family are in the church, and they're very jealous of her, and she's very aware that they had placed a lot of curses on her. And when she went to pray, she could always feel this blackness. She often even heard words from evil spirits, which is quite common amongst Aboriginal people, telling her to harm herself. When she had a kitchen knife and things like that, she'd hear a voice telling her to kill herself, and she was very frightened about that. And she lives in a block of flats where there's a lot of poverty and a lot of evil things happening, and she's almost in a state of fear all the time about these curses she feels that haven't been lifted off her for a very long time. So she mentioned that to John, and I've spoken to her today, and she was so lighter afterwards. She said she felt so much light flooding into her. When John prayed over her, she felt this great peace flowing through her whole body, and she knows that something has been lifted off that's been there for a very long time. And also she had headaches, I think she prayed for last night, Alicia, and that went straight away. I've forgotten some of the others, but they're the ones that I can remember clearly. There were a couple of ladies. There's one lady that had, the one with the eyes also had imbalance with a growth in her ear. She had vertigo. The doctors didn't know how to operate. It's right down in here, and she had really bad balance. She had to walk with a walker, but she's walking fine now without the walker, and she said she got the hearing back at that ear. She couldn't hear out of her right ear, but after John prayed over that ear, she could hear again out of that ear. And I know there's a couple more, but
that's plenty.
I can't remember.
Well, thanks to you two for getting them to the meeting, Jan, because it was wonderful.
Yeah, well, I really admire their faith.
Yeah, and they're easily touched. They're so open to the Spirit, and just God bless your work amongst them. Keep going. Thank you. Our pleasure.
I really hope that you
Our
will
pleasure.
come back.
I would love to. Thanks,
Yes.
Jan.